Call the case, State of Ohio versus Adam Burris, case number 13, CRA 01496. This is Adam Burris' initial appearance on a felony charge. For the record, we're seeing Mr. Burris by video from the county jail. Mr. Burris, did you see the video that explains the felony rights and procedures?
Yes.
Do you understand those things okay? Do you have any questions about them?
No, I don't.
I'm going to review them with you just to make sure that you understand them. First, I'm going to read the complaint that's been filed. It reads, State of Ohio, Plaintiff versus Adam Burris, 63199 McPherson Avenue, Cambridge, Ohio. The undersigned complainant, being first duly sworn, states that on or about the 26th of December 2013, within Guernsey County, Ohio, Adam Burris did purposely cause the death of Kayla Thompson in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.02a, entitled Murder, a felony offense. The complaint is signed by Deputy Skurlock of the Guernsey County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Burris, have you been given a copy of the complaint?
Yes.
To say things concisely, basically today we do two things. I'm going to ask you whether you would like to have a preliminary hearing in the case, and I will decide your bond. To review with you what you heard on the videotape as to your rights and the procedures. You have the right to an attorney and the right to a reasonable continuance of this hearing so that you can get an attorney. And pursuant to Criminal Rule 44, you have the right to have an attorney assigned without cost to you if the court determines that you could not afford to hire an attorney. You need not make any statement, and any statement that you make that's incriminating may be used against you. You'll not be called on to enter a plea to this charge at any appearance here in the Cambridge Municipal Court. That's because felonies are dealt with, for the most part, in common pleas court. You do here in the municipal court have the right to a preliminary hearing. That is a probable cause hearing, and you have an absolute right to it. Preliminary hearings have to be held within 10 days of a person's arrest if they do not make bond, or within 15 days of the date of their arrest if they do bond out. There are common sense exceptions to that. It can be continued for good cause. Basically, and as I said, you have a right to a preliminary hearing. If you request a preliminary hearing, the prosecution has to present at least enough believable evidence to cause the court to believe that the offense occurred. That's the basic purpose of a preliminary hearing. Well, the basic purpose is to provide that basic safeguard for the accused. Again, at the preliminary hearing, the prosecution is required to present at least enough believable evidence to cause the court to believe that the offense occurred. It's not a trial. There isn't any finding of guilty or not guilty, but it does act as that kind of basic safeguard for the accused, because if at the preliminary hearing the prosecution does not establish probable cause, then the charge has to be dismissed. Do you understand that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, today we basically do two things. I will ask you whether you would like to have a preliminary hearing. On that question, you have three choices. Of course, you can request a preliminary hearing. As I had mentioned, you have the right to a continuance if you'd like to talk with an attorney before you make that decision. The third choice that a person has would be to waive or give up the right to a preliminary hearing. As I mentioned to you, if we have a preliminary hearing and the prosecution fails to establish probable cause, the charge has to be dismissed. If we have a preliminary hearing and the prosecution does establish probable cause, then the case is ordered bound over, transferred to the common pleas court, where it would be presented to the grand jury the next time they meet for the grand jury to decide whether they see probable cause. If the grand jury finds probable cause, the person is indicted, and they go to common pleas court for an arraignment where they enter a plea. Are you clear on these things? Do you have any questions about them?
No, I don't.
Okay. Are you able to say what you would like to do as far as the preliminary hearing?
I'd like to speak more to my attorney.
Okay. You can. Okay. You know, you should know, it's important that you know that if you think you cannot afford to hire an attorney, Officer Beckner will give you the paperwork to fill out if you want to request a court-appointed attorney. If you are financially eligible, then we would appoint an attorney to represent you. So are you saying that you would like to speak further with an attorney before you make the decision?
Yes.
Okay. I would grant a continuance to enable you to do that. If you think you can hire an attorney, that's fine, that's great. If you do not think you can afford to hire an attorney, Officer Beckman will give you the paperwork to fill out. We would conduct a hearing on that request if you make it as soon as we possibly can. Kent Bigler, Assistant Prosecutor, is present. Mr. Bigler, may I ask you to come forward, please? Mr. Bigler, what is the state's recommendation on the bond?
The state would recommend a $1 million bond based on criminal 26 factors.
Yeah. Two basic issues, safety of the public and to make sure that the defendant returns. Okay. Mr. Burris, Mr. Bigler's, the state, Mr. Bigler's the Assistant Prosecutor, is recommending $1 million bond. Primary purpose of bond is to make sure that a person appears for any other proceedings in the case. Also, the court can consider public safety in setting bond. It's very important that you know you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything. You will be able to talk with an attorney. And, frankly, once you have an attorney representing you, your attorney can always raise that issue about the bond. But I have to set the bond today, understanding your right to remain silent and the right to counsel. Is there anything you want to tell me in regard to the issue of bond today? All right. I'm going to set bond at $1 million at 10%. Let's continue it until Thursday to hear back. Officer Beckner, if Mr. Burris wants to fill out the affidavit on counsel, I believe that we're closed tomorrow because it's New Year's Eve and we'll be closed on New Year's Day. If he wants to fill out the paperwork on court-appointed counsel, I'd see him again by video at the end of the 1 o'clock session here, if he's able to do that.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right. Otherwise, we'd continue until Thursday then. Okay. Mr. Burris, any other questions at this point?
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bishop.